Okay.
You talked a lot about the state exchanges versus the federal exchanges. What are some of the differences that the state exchange would have compared to the federal exchange?
Well, again, it depends. State choices. It depends on how the state chooses. So, again, I think the most important issues are around how do you work with insurers? Do you have low bars and sort of have a lot of insurers come into the marketplace so that there's a lot of consumer choice and let the marketplace sort of sort it out, or do you try to, through a competitive bidding process, winnow down the number of insurers on the exchange? That's a big decision that states have to make. What kind of options should be available to small businesses on the exchange? Another big decision. Should it be a model where the employer puts the money in and the employees choose the plans, or should it be a model where the employer, as today, the employer basically picks the plan for the employees? Both of those are possible. You can do one or the other in the exchange. You actually have to do the employee choice model. So those are some of the kinds of decisions that get made.
Would there be a lot of flexibility then for the state to tailor it different than the federal exchange? And what would
the state? Yeah, the state would run the exchange in a state exchange model, and there would be some federal regulation, but a minimum set of standards, a floor of regulation, if you will, and then states have a lot of flexibility above the floor. Obviously, the federal government running the exchange, and the federal government's making decisions. Now, the federal government's still going to reach out to the state and want input, but it's a much different thing for the federal government running the exchange, asking for state input that it can take or not take, versus the state running it and having to meet minimal standards and be accountable only for those standards and make its own choices above the floor.
Right. I guess my key question is, there's been a lot of real debate in Arkansas as to,
I got to do one more question. I got to go.
Sure. As to what the benefits are to doing a state exchange. So I'm really trying to understand the difference in what a state exchange would look like versus what a federal exchange would look like.
Again, we don't know, because we don't know what decisions Arkansas would make or what decisions the federal government would make. But the decision of how you work with insurers, how you work with consumers, how you set up your call center, how you work with the small business community, all those decisions can be made either by the state or by the federal government. And depending on which each of them choose, you could have quite a different experience in the state.